Speech for you folks, and on that note bring in the Labor MP Julian Hill and Liberal MP Keith Wolahan. Good morning to you both. Julian, just on that note, as it's happening now, I'm sure you won't be critical of a serving US president, but I'll ask anyway. Biden's issues are well documented. How do you feel about his potential re-election and serving for another 4 years?
I'm not avoiding the question. I'll respond to that. But can I just comment on those powerful words that I just saw? We were all watching that. And thank you for cutting to the panel and, outranking the US president with us two humble backbenchers. But they were stirring words. They reminded us of the disaster that befell the world with the destruction of Europe and much of the world in the Second World War. And NATO was born out of the need for collective defence. It's a democratic organisation. It's a group of democracies committed to collective security. And I think it's worth all of us just pausing for a moment and remembering how important that is. An attack on one is an attack on all. And I welcomed President Biden's acknowledgement in his remarks that we saw then that the Indo-Pacific countries represented there, including Australia, represented by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence, have a stake in NATO's success, a global rules-based order, maintenance of peace, and, of course, the importance of deterring conflict from a position of strength. So I welcome that. But just on your question, it would be no great surprise to you that I will say who is elected as the US president and who is elected to the US Congress in November is a matter for the US people. And I think most of my parliamentary colleagues from both sides of the aisle observe that correct convention. There's a few whack jobs in the coalition that have chosen to go out barracking for former President Trump. I think all of us should follow the normal diplomatic protocols and let the US people decide who their next president in Congress will be. We will work with whoever that is.
Right. Why are they whack jobs for supporting President Trump? He might be president again.
No, my point is not about supporting one person or another. It's about if you're a serious member of a government or an alternative government, you don't get involved in other countries' elections. There's a good reason that is a diplomatic norm and a long-standing convention. I haven't heard Keith out there barracking for one side or the other. Indeed, I haven't heard most coalition colleagues barracking for one side or the other. Well, if you talk to people in private, people have very different views on this.
No, I'm
That's
sure.
fine, but it's not my job to put that view publicly. It's up to the American people.
I'm sure you'll have the same constraints, Keith, in case you win the next election and have to deal with whoever is US president. But I mean, just more broadly, it's a topic of discussion and it's a big one that's happening right around the world at the moment. But beyond that, is it dangerous for someone who struggles to remember things, struggles to form sentences, only takes scripted questions with scripted answers to be the so-called leader of the free world?
I'm going to take my lead from Julian here. I won't do it often, but I will here. He's absolutely right. I don't think it is healthy for parliamentarians, the other side of the world, to be commenting on who's suitable or not in another democracy. That is entirely for them. But can I say this about the speech? I also thought those were stirring words. And let's think about the connection to Australia. On Anzac Day, you will see thousands of veterans wear their medals, and most of them from Afghanistan wear a blue medal with NATO on it. Australia served in NATO because Article 5 was invoked after September 11, and it was a NATO-led mission. So that is very important to us. We were one of the largest contributors, the largest non-NATO contributor, and the third largest when it came to special operations. So our commitment to NATO is significant, and that's why it is important that we have the Deputy Prime Minister there in Washington and other representatives.